Hi everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new, I am Julie Montague, otherwise known as the American Viscountess, and as we get ready for Christmas, many of us will be tuning into King Charles III, his first ever Christmas Day message. What is he going to say about his mother, Her Majesty the Queen, and maybe perhaps about his upcoming coronation, and of course his thoughts on 2022, which has been a particularly rather hard and sad year for the royal family. Well, the royal family Christmas message and its history, let's get into it. It's been a staple of Christmas Day for people in the UK and around the Commonwealth for most people's entire lives. But how did the tradition begin? So this video is all about a brief history of the Christmas speech. The message began life as a radio broadcast on the BBC's Empire service during the reign of King George V. And this happened on Christmas Day in 1932. King George V delivered a 250-word, 3-minute wireless message penned for him by poet and writer Kipling. It was broadcast live just after 3 p.m., which was considered the best time for reaching most of the countries of the empire by shortwave radio. But was this the king's idea? No, it wasn't. It was thought up by BBC director John Reith, who saw it as a way of inaugurating the BBC's Empire service, now called the World Service. It was actually first suggested to the king a decade earlier in 1922. But at the time, King George V thought the BBC's radio broadcasts were an entertainment channel and not really suitable. But George V was initially uncertain about using the relatively untested medium of radio. However, he was persuaded to do so following a visit to the BBC and a discussion with Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald, who sold the idea of the Christmas broadcast as really a tool to help the monarchy maintain unity within the empire. King George V made the first Christmas broadcast in a small room in Sandringham House, connected by telephone lines to Broadcasting House. The king was, let's just say, highly nervous, as you would be, and was even reported saying that the prospect of making the broadcast ruined his Christmas. The table at which he sat was covered with thick cloth in order to muffle the rustling of the papers held in his trembling hands. And as we said, the first broadcast was in 1932, and it was estimated to reach 22 million people in Australia, Canada, India, Kenya, South Africa, and the UK, and there was widespread approval, not only of Kipling's words, but also of the king's no-nonsense delivery of them. However, there were 2 years, 1936 and 1938, in which there was not a broadcast. However, it was the outbreak of war in 1939 which firmly established the royal Christmas broadcast. With large parts of the world facing an uncertain future, King George VI spoke live to offer a message of reassurance to his people. But George V made an annual Christmas broadcast for the rest of his reign, the last coming less than a month before his death in 1936. But there would be no Christmas speech from his son, Edward VIII, that year. When he did make a broadcast in December, it was to announce his abdication. And it would take the wartime Christmas messages of George VI to turn the royal Christmas broadcast into the tradition it is today. Queen Elizabeth II, well, she had read the Christmas Day message since 1952. The transfer from radio to television occurred in 1957. However, there was 1 year in her reign to date that the Queen had not delivered a Christmas speech, and that was in 1969. She decided against recording a message because a special documentary about the royals had been aired during the summer. And, well, the Queen, she was just concerned the family had been in the spotlight too much. The program, called Royal Family, was about Prince Charles's investiture, and instead, Her Majesty issued a written message. She addressed the change in her message, and in writing, she said, "I've received a great number of kind letters and messages of regard and concern about this year's break with the usual broadcast at Christmas, and I want you all to know that my good wishes are no less warm and personal because they come to you in a different form." And she does carry on, but that was really the crux of the written message. However, let's go to one of the Queen's most memorable speeches, and that was in 1997. It was an emotional speech, as it was the year that Princess Diana died in tragic circumstances. It was also the first speech to be made available on the internet. In an emotional speech, the Queen referenced the national grief following the death of Princess Diana and the comfort her family found in the nation's support. She said, "We all felt the shock and sorrow of Diana's death. Thousands upon thousands of you expressed your grief most poignantly in the wonderful flowers and messages in tribute to her." As pictures of Diana's funeral played out on the screen, the Queen added, "That was a great comfort to all those close to her." At 9 minutes and 50 seconds, it was the longest ever Christmas Day message from a British monarch. So, what will this year's Christmas Day message from King Charles III focus on? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you all so much for joining me here. And remember, it costs nothing to subscribe to my channel, American Viscountess, and every subscriber helps my channel grow. But do comment down below as to what you think King Charles III Christmas Day speech will focus on. Merry Christmas, everybody!